The anniversary came and I let her have it. Every detail she wanted, every expectation she imagined. I, Mark, and my wife Rachel had a way of turning occasions into performances. For years I tried to match her energy, the grand gestures, the elaborate dinners, the perfect celebrations. But this year was different. This year I knew the truth, and I intended to let her enjoy her little show before I ended it completely. The morning started like any other anniversary. Rachel woke up early humming, excited to see what I had planned. I didn't give her a hint. Breakfast in bed? Sure, if she wanted. Gifts? Of course. Flowers? Naturally. But each smile, each delighted laugh, each playful glance from her was being recorded in my mind, not for joy, but for contrast. This was the woman who had betrayed me repeatedly, who had hidden her lies in the quiet corners of our marriage, who thought affection and loyalty were optional. I handed her the bouquet and watched her face light up. "You didn't have to, Mark," she said, her eyes sparkling. I nodded, keeping my own expression neutral. Inside, I was counting hours, calculating timing, savoring the irony. Every moment of happiness she felt was about to be overturned, not with anger but with clarity. We went to dinner at the restaurant she loved. The one she had always insisted was our place. The table was set perfectly, the wine chilled, the menu pre-ordered. She kept smiling, leaning in, touching my arm. I returned touches mechanically, allowing her to feel warmth without reciprocation. Conversation flowed, but I let her lead entirely. Every story, every laugh, every glance I returned was measured, distant, deliberate. I was present physically but absent emotionally. Halfway through, she brought up the past year. The trips, the small surprises, the fights we had patched up. She laughed, oblivious. "Remember last anniversary?" she said. "I was so upset when the gift got lost in the mail." I nodded politely. "Yes, I remember," I said, soft but firm. I didn't add the truth, that this year, the gift she would receive was not the one she expected. When dessert arrived, a chocolate cake with her name elegantly written, I watched her eyes widen with delight. She didn't know it yet, but this cake was the last illusion of celebration she would ever receive from me. By the end of the night, when her joy reached its peak, I would hand her the final piece of truth. Not a fight, not a scene, not a dramatic accusation, but a clean, undeniable closure. She sipped her wine and laughed at a joke I didn't hear, leaning against me as if nothing had changed. That's when I knew the timing was perfect. She felt the life she wanted, the security she assumed she controlled, all in that moment. And in a few hours it would all be gone. After dinner we returned home. The apartment was quiet, warm with soft lighting. Everything meticulously arranged just as she liked it. Rachel flitted around, placing gifts, adjusting flowers, making sure every detail was perfect. I followed behind, silent, watching. Every smile, every satisfied sigh she gave, was a thread in the tapestry I was about to unravel. She sat on the couch, excitedly tearing wrapping paper, revealing small, thoughtful gifts. Jewelry, perfume, a photo frame of one of our trips. She looked up at me, eyes shining. "You always know exactly what I want," she said. I nodded, keeping my face calm, my voice steady. "I try. No warmth. No pride. Just truth." She leaned against me, a playful nudge here, a soft laugh there, unaware of the storm that was quietly gathering. She had no idea that her past choices, the lies, the betrayals, the late-night messages she thought were hidden, had all been catalogued. I had spent months gathering clarity, documenting patterns, understanding the full scope of her cheating. Every detail, every secret, every whispered excuse had built this quiet inevitability. When the clock hit 10, I poured 2 glasses of champagne and handed her one. She clinked it against mine, smiling, eyes bright with the glow of imagined trust and love. "To us," she said. And in that simple toast, I heard the arrogance of someone who believed everything was still hers to command. I nodded, silent, holding my glass high. "To us," I echoed, the words tasting cold. She moved closer, tracing her hand along my arm, trying to pull me into the warmth she thought I was giving willingly. I allowed her touch, but my mind was elsewhere, precise, composed. Timing, control, and impact mattered more than emotion tonight. Every moment of her delight would make the revelation hit harder, would strip away the illusion of security she had relied on for months. Finally, I placed the last gift in front of her. A small, elegant box. She opened it carefully, expecting a necklace, a charm, something sentimental. Inside was not jewelry but the divorce papers. Her eyes widened, then flickered with disbelief, then anger. She looked up at me, searching for the man she thought would beg, plead, explain. You, she stammered. Words failed her. The party of emotions she had orchestrated, the performance of a happy wife, the charm, the allure, crumbled in the space of a heartbeat. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse. I simply sat back, calm, watching the consequences of her choices unfold with perfect clarity. Her hands shook as she held the papers. Mark, I thought we were fine, she whispered. We were fine until you decided otherwise, I said evenly. Tonight you got everything you wanted. The celebration, the gifts, the illusion. But this is the truth. And the truth is non-negotiable. She sank back onto the couch, silent, processing. Anger, shame, disbelief, and regret swirled in her eyes. I let her sit there. Let her feel it. The weight of her own decisions. The loneliness that comes when your actions break the bond you once took for granted. The night stretched on, heavy with a quiet neither of us had expected. Rachel didn't yell. She didn't cry uncontrollably. She just sat, the papers trembling slightly in her hands, her mind racing through every choice, every hidden lie, every time she thought she could manipulate the narrative. And for the first time she realized she couldn't. I poured myself a glass of water, sat across from her and watched. This was not about revenge or spectacle, it was about truth. For months I had lived with betrayal, doubts gnawing at the edges of our life. But tonight I reclaimed control, not with anger but with composure. She had felt confident, untouchable, assuming I would always bend, always forgive, always stay. And now that assumption was shattered. I'm not doing this to hurt you, I said calmly. I'm doing this because I have to respect myself, respect the life I want, and the love I can't give to someone who doesn't want to give the same in return. My words were measured, deliberate. Each one landed like a pebble in still water, rippling through her realization. She looked up, tears forming, but I didn't flinch. You can't do this to me, she whispered, voice shaking but not pleading, more stunned, as if she were discovering a new reality she had ignored for too long. I already have, I replied softly. The celebration, the smiles, the gifts, they were yours to enjoy. But this is the life we've built on truth, not lies. And lies have consequences. For a moment she didn't speak. Then finally she murmured, I didn't think it would end like this. That's the point, I said. You made choices. You had every chance to be honest, to honor us. You didn't. Now you experienced the result. Alone, facing the truth of what you've done. I stood, collected the remaining gifts, and placed them neatly back in the boxes. Rachel stayed seated, overwhelmed, her mind grasping at threads of reality she had long ignored. I walked to the door, paused, and glanced back. This isn't cruelty, I said. It's clarity. And maybe now you understand that actions define the life you get, not intentions, excuses, or charm. I left the room quietly, leaving her with the papers, the consequences, and the truth. No shouting. No dramatic exit. Just a calm, definitive boundary marking the end of a chapter she thought she controlled. Outside, the air was cool, steady, and free. I felt a weight lift, a sense of reclamation I hadn't known in years. The betrayal had been sharp, yes, but my response was sharper in its subtlety, unspoken, undeniable, measured. Rachel would process tonight for weeks, maybe months. The lessons would sting. The understanding of what she had lost would grow. But I was no longer tethered to her choices, her deception, her drama. I had reclaimed my life, my dignity, and my peace. In the end, letting her celebrate was not mercy, it was strategy. A final mirror showing her what she had, what she threw away, and what she would never take for granted again. And as I walked away from the apartment, free from the weight of betrayal, I finally felt what I had been craving for so long: light, unshakable, untethered freedom.